Hey, and welcome back. Although pretty much all of the DIY projects on this channel revolve around the drums, I do plenty of other projects as well. In pretty much every room of my house, you can find different pieces of furniture I've built to suit my specific needs or fit a space perfectly. One of these custom pieces that has allowed me to be most efficient with the work I do was building myself a great desk space. Over the years, I've built a number of different desks, and with each variation comes small improvements and adjustments to make it work best for me. I never recorded a video of building my most recent desk, but when one of my closest friends, Malachi, reached out to me to help him build a desk for his home office, I figured I'd at least record the process and take you along and hopefully encourage you to see how easy this process can be. So without any further ado, let's get started. So as you can see, Malachi's current desk was pretty underwhelming. It's actually just a folding card table with a tablecloth and a keyboard tray zip-tied to the underside. So to get started, we went down to Ikea to pick up a couple of Alex drawer units, and these were set to be the base of the desk. I've set up plenty of these over the years for myself, my family, and just like every piece of Ikea furniture, they are extremely modular and useful, but also an absolute pain to put together. But coming in at only $90 per unit, the value on these is fantastic. We spent an hour or so putting together both of these units, and luckily I was there to lend a hand, as Malachi doesn't have the strongest background in building. After we got both cabinets assembled, we took some measurements of the room to get a feel for how large we could build a desktop, and then I went over to our local hardware store, Menards, to purchase all the materials I'd need to build the desktop. For the top, I purchased a 5/4-inch thick board of edge-glued pine, as it has a similar look to butcher block, but it's much more cost-effective. In addition, I picked up a 1-inch thick board to build a hutch out of for both the video monitors and speakers. After I got home, I unloaded this massive piece and got started by sanding the desktop. Luckily, I was able to buy a board at the exact width and length we planned to use, so I didn't have to trim it down, but obviously if needed, I would have cut it down to final dimensions before moving on to sanding. I added some stain to the desktop, wiping away the excess quickly, and then repeated for all the sides, and then finally the underside of the desk. Next, I shifted my attention to the hutch. For Malachi's desk, we went with a 6-foot-long hutch, 12 inches deep, raised up around 6 or 7 inches off the desktop. Since I was able to purchase a 12-inch wide board, I made one cut on the miter saw to get the top of the hutch, and then I brought the remainder over to the table saw to cut 4 risers. I added pocket holes to all the risers and then attached them to the top piece with Kreg screws. We made the decision to leave around 40 inches in the middle space made by the risers to allow Malachi to fit his MIDI keyboard in that bay when he's not using it. And to me, this is one of the best reasons to build custom pieces like this, to have them work perfectly with the equipment you have. Once I had the hutch all assembled, I again added stain, and then I could focus my attention on getting it attached to the desktop. I spent plenty of time measuring and clamping everything up, and then flipped the desk upside down to attach the hutch with screws from underneath the desktop. You could opt to use something like L brackets for this, but these screws underneath will never be seen, and looks much better in my opinion. After the hutch was attached to the desktop, I began the process of clear coating with polyurethane. On many of my projects, I feel like I'm too impatient to go through the process of clear coating with multiple coats, but honestly, for a desk surface where you're regularly working, it's super beneficial to have a nice smooth surface to work on, so it's worth the time to do it right. Over the next few days, I did 6 to 7 coats of polyurethane until I had an exceptionally smooth finish. Once I had the finish to my liking, I was able to pack up this behemoth of a desk into my Prius and take it over to Malachi's to do the final install. After navigating this top through the stairway and hallway, we got the current desk and furniture cleared out of the room to prep for the new desk install. Before attaching the desktop to our base cabinets, we decided to drill some holes for routing cables through the desk. This is totally optional, and although the back bays of this desk are open, we figured it wouldn't hurt to add a few through the desktop, just to give Malachi a few more options on running cables for various pieces of hardware. After everything was in place, we removed the top few drawers from the base cabinet to allow me to attach some screws from the inside of the base cabinets up into the desktop and hold everything in place. After that, we could add the drawers back in place, and move on to some finishing touches like adding this rug, attaching a power strip underneath the desk, and even reusing this keyboard tray that wasn't that flimsy if you actually used the screws to hold it in place instead of zip ties. After getting the last few finishing touches complete, we were able to wrap it up and call this project done. As you can see, the desk not only fits perfectly in this space, but also fits all the various pieces of equipment Malachi uses on a daily basis. As for me, I'm just trying to make the world a more efficient place, one desk at a time. If you've built your own desk, I'd love to hear about it down below, so leave a comment. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on future video releases. Until next time, thanks.